Hey guys, looks like I'm going live now. Forgive me, I'm by myself tonight. At the moment, at least. I'm going to send out the Hangout link to a couple of my friends here and see if one of them can join me. So give me just a moment, please. Let's see. Sent one out to him and one more. See if I can get somebody to join me here. There we go. I got one friend that might be able to join right off the bat, and the other one will join me at around 8:30. So see if I can keep it together that long. And let me get out of Twitter and find where my screen is so I can see my ugly mug. There we go. Get the chat set up. So guys, how you doing tonight? I am exhausted. Hey Rover, thank you very much for joining. Eddie, thank you for joining. BV3D, how you doing? Thank you for joining. We got Red Light 34. Yeah, it's been one of them weeks. Calvin went to Florida, and then when he got back, had some stuff he had to take care of, so he's not going to be able to join me tonight. But I see he's doing lots and lots of modeling right now, so that's at least everything's going good that way. You'll giggle your way through this just fine. That's exactly right. Okay, Rover says, look at the top of the chat. Uh-oh. What's this?
Hello, everyone, and I am back.
I'll check that out in a bit. Now if I can get my chat back. Okay, how come my chat disappeared? Uh-oh. I'm just going to have to reopen the chat window, I think. That's what I get for clicking on a link. Let's see, new window. Let's go back over to Twitter, or no, to YouTube. Get my chat window back. Oh, what a horrible picture of me. No, I don't want to listen to anything there. Let's see. Pop out the chat. There we go. Now I got my chat back. Come on. There we go. Everything's back. Working on auto shop and you're exhausted, check the ventilation system. No, I've been moving tires. For the last 2 days, I've been in the stockroom getting ready for inventory. And so I wanted to sort out the tires, make everything, easier for the staff to be able to go through there and figure out what size is what. Main thing too is to switch, turn all the tires so that the barcodes and item numbers are facing forward. So when the inventory team goes through with their scanners, they can just scan barcodes and not have this thing of, okay, what tire is this? So just try to get things straightened out that direction. Yeah, I should have opened a new tab. My bad. Middle mouse button, click on your link is your friend. Ah, didn't ever think about that. Yeah, moving tires suck. Moving tires makes you tired. So Rover, only 2 away from 60 referrals. Sweet. Residue smell heavy. Yes. Every night I come home, I feel dirtier than I did when I used to sandblast. Hey, Paul, doing great. Thank you for joining. Yeah, it looks like something's getting jittery on my end of it. Let me see what's going on here. I probably have something working in the background. I bet you it's carbonite. So let me go ahead and stop it really quick here. Carbonite, ever since I switched over to this computer, has just been giving me fits. It keeps wanting to go into recover mode, but yet there's nothing to recover. There we go. Pause the backup for 2 hours. Pause it. Cool. That should, yeah, it's looking better. I think that's what it was trying to back up. Hey, Greg, thank you for joining. Say hi to Uncle Jimmy. Oh, man. Hey, Tony, thank you for joining. Uncle Ron, how you doing? Man, we got all kinds of people up in here. Yeah, I got a couple friends I sent out some links to. I'd love to send one to Greg, but I know good and well he wouldn't get on camera. We'd have fun on camera together, man. Come on. Let's turn on that camera, Greg. I'll send you the link. What's this, Calvin? Hey, Calvin, how you doing? Everyone's sorry I wasn't up for streaming. I just got back from going to dinner with a relative. Won't be on chat much as I will. Got a lot to get done. Had to say hi. Well, thank you for joining, Calvin. I appreciate it. Miss you, my friend. We definitely got to go out to dinner again. PV3D. If you've got a Core Duo CPU or better, you'll probably be okay. But Carbonite always freezes Core Solo. This one's a i7, so I'm not exactly sure which one it is, but I know it's an i7. Uncle Ron, good. You? Doing good. Greg, oh, hell nah. Someday, Greg, someday we got to have a stream with you and Curtis. I know you two hate getting on camera, but I got to get both of you on camera sometime. We would have fun. What's our topic for tonight? Our topic for tonight is if one of the two guys that I was talking to, if one of them would come on, we can have some fun. I originally sent out a invite to Jerry, aka Bargain Please, and he's got some stuff going on, so he wasn't able to join. Otherwise, he said he would. One of these days, I hope I can get him on here. We'll have all kinds of fun. I've always wanted to have a really deep, conversation with him as far as what got him into 3D printing and stuff. But one of these days, then I sent out an invite to Travis from Pyro Design, but he's got some things going on, so he wasn't able to join. So got two other people that hopefully one of them will come on tonight. Come on, Han Solo and Carbonite. Excuse me. Calvin wants to talk about stuff and things. Come on, Calvin. Hit that button. What's this? House burned down, lost everything, looking for a cheap 3D printer to help kill time and trailer I'm living in. Oh, I'm sorry to hear about that. Thank goodness it wasn't the 3D printer that caused it. Man. Greg, Travis is a diva. Travis is good people. I get a kick out of hanging out with him. And Greg says, don't tell him I said that. Too late. Yeah, as far as 3D printers, you really can't go wrong depending on the size. If you're wanting to go with something small, Ah, Jeff, thank you for joining.
You really can't go wrong, depending on the size. If you're wanting to go with...
Hey, Jimmy.
How you doing, my friend?
Good, good. How are you doing, buddy?
Oh, hanging in there. Trying to, at least.
Everybody see and hear me okay? I know it's a little dark in here.
I hear you good over on this end.
All right, good. I'm going to adjust the light. Hold on one second.
Okay.
See if that helps. Woo. All right, back I am. There we go.
So you got home from work?
Yeah, got home from work, had some dinner, and decided to join you here on this fun little stream. I heard you talking, and I was like, I got to jump in and see what Jimmy's talking about.
Jimmy's talking about being tired of moving tires.
Speaking of tires, my wife Heather needs 4 tires on the Sienna, and we were talking about going to Sears, but we can't drive all the way up to you, unfortunately.
I wish you could.
I'm trying to convince her, but I think by the time we get there, there'll be slicks.
I can imagine.
They're not bad, but they're not good. I mean, we just drove to Valley of Fire down a bunch of rocky roads, and I was confident in the tires, but I think driving to California might take a lot out of them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And guys, I'm not going to say this right now in order to do a sales pitch. Okay, that's not what this is all about. But by the way, do you know we have a really good sale going on right now?
Actually, we do.
Michelin and Die Hard, and I forget what the other one is. What a horrible auto manager.
You got to know the name of the tire you have on sale.
Yeah, but anyway, I know for sure the Michelins have got like $2 million rebates. If you use a Sears card, you get $100 gift card. Plus, you get 12 months 0% financing. I mean, you can't go wrong with that.
No, you can't. That's actually a pretty good deal.
And I know the Die Hard ones. I think it's buy 3 get 1 free, if I remember right.
I think that's what it was. We looked at a couple of different deals, and we were price comparing, and Sears Automotive's right across the street. And I was like, I'm pretty sure they have a really good deal going on all the time.
Well, right now, especially if this week is because of the Memorial Day weekend and all that, the sale's going through the 2nd.
Oh, okay, cool. So yeah, I will let her know, because we want to make a little exodus out to Big Bear in a couple of weeks for some camping and get off the grid, and got to get new tires before we do that. So.
Oh wow, yeah, you definitely want, especially going there, you definitely want to have some good tires.
Yeah, definitely some brand new tires.
So. Don't forget that front end alignment. By the way, do you need your coolant change too?
Well, we're not going to be that far away, so maybe we will stop by. halfway to Jimmy. Let's see, it's about the same. So how's things going here? Was that Greg? Oh yeah, that's true, Greg. If you do buy 4 tires, they will give you the 5th one free.
I see Mr. Carol Science just popped in. How you doing? Hey Heather, how you doing?
Yeah, Heather's playing Jurassic Park Monopoly downstairs, or Jurassic World Monopoly downstairs. So,
what's it going to take to get her on camera tonight?
I don't know.
She's like, you're never getting me in front of a camera. Never.
No, she's watching, so she may reply and tell you, no.
So, I took a page out of your book.
Yes. I don't even think I can reach mine. Mine's up on the top shelf. There you go. Mine's all the way on the top shelf there. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's the silver one up there.
So how many millimeter tall is that one?
That one's from the G-Max, so that one's probably 400 to 420.
I did this one at 300 because I just didn't feel like trying to go the 400.
This, I think, is 300, and I think this one's almost 300 from the from the A30.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And of course, I did do a giant maker coin because after I saw you do that one, I've got all this stuff already shot and everything. But yeah, I had to do the giant maker coin.
That looks awesome.
Yeah.
So you're quite honestly, what do you honestly think? You know, just between me and you and 19 other people, what do you honestly think of that printer?
I actually like it. To be honest, I like it. It's not that bad. It's a good starter machine. I didn't have any of the problems that you guys experienced. I've been keeping a really close eye on those wheels. I did notice that the bed wheels, there's two of them that spin freely, and it's in the back left and the back right, which tells me that those cross beams aren't perfectly perpendicular. I haven't gotten out the micrometer to check it yet, but that tells me right off the bat that that was an issue. Plus, when mine shipped, the main drive bearing wheel was off and in the box. So I had to literally take the heated bed off and reinstall everything. And then I noticed, which I mentioned in my video, that that plastic clip that holds the wires, which is awesome, adds more tension onto the spring than the other three corners. So I dropped in a couple of washers that were included in the kit, and that helped out a lot. And then at that point, the printer started printing amazing. And I was like super impressed by it. For a $429 printer, actually prints pretty dang good. I mean, the prints that you guys can watch my review if somebody wants to drop the link. But this little guy, and I don't know if it'll even focus on it, but that little guy is 18 millimeters tall and at a 0.16 millimeter layer height, and it printed. Now, that is the smallest thing I've ever seen printed on any of the printers I've ever used. And it worked. So, you know, it had its ups and downs in the beginning, but with a little bit of tuning. And I didn't want to do too many modifications past what I was able to work with that came out of the box. That was my opinion. I got 2 parts bags instead of just one. So I had a ton of extra parts. In fact, I've got them all organized and put in a box. Nice. That's how many I got. I had so many, I bought a box. So.
Oh, by the way, Greg, thank you for joining. Take care, my friend.
Oh, Greg's taking off?
Night, yeah, Greg. I think he's going to bed.
Yeah, Eddie, that's $429 without the bed level sensor and without the Wi-Fi module. So.
Yeah. Which, quite honestly, once you get this bed set, I since the last time I got the bed set, I have not had to relevel it. It just.
Me either.
And the reason for it is because you're not having to peel the print off. Is yours the same way where whenever it cools, it just lifts?
Yep. Like I actually have a piece of footage. I wish I could cue it up. I had the My Little Pony that I printed, one of the last things I printed. I had a video going, and every once in a while I would touch it, and it was still locked on there. And then that like 40 degrees, between 35 and 40 degree bed, I just touched it and it popped right off. So, I mean, if you're not touching the bed, and I wipe mine down every single time after every single print and before I print with the good old IPA. That's right.
Yep, me too. Every single time.
Looks like you're using the high test version. You got 91. I only got 70% here.
Yeah, I went for the expensive Walmart brand.
I got the expensive Kroger brand, but
I thought about going with the dollar store 50%, but I didn't think that was enough.
No, you know what? It's as long as it's about 70% or stronger. I think that's what Chris mentioned in a video a long time ago about the Prusa printer. You need to clean the bed off because it's got that PEI sheet or whatever on it. But I clean it. I keep the printer clean. I haven't had any jams. I haven't had any problems with it. So, you know, I just my hope is that they just keep improving on it. But I haven't updated the firmware. Now, I understand that just from the conversations that we've had offline, that you guys have updated your firmwares and you haven't updated yours?
No, good. I refuse to update firmware unless I absolutely have to.
Okay, good. Me too. I'm the same way. Unless someone sends me an email or personally like says, hey, listen, update the firmware. We made some huge changes. I'm not touching it.
Yeah, with me, if I'm having it's freezing up or there's something that's not right, then usually that means that something got corrupted, and then I'll go ahead and I'll do it. But unless that's happening, I don't touch it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, even my GMAX software or firmware, excuse me, I didn't update it until Gordon told me to update it. He was like, you need to update your firmware now. The 365 project's over. Don't worry, it's not going to break your printer. Please update your firmware. We have a brand new version of it out. And I did, and it, you know, I actually have a heated bed for the GMAX now.
Oh, do you?
Yes, I'm super excited. It's you can't see it. It's underneath everything because I had to make room for all this A30 stuff. But the GMAX now has a heated bed, and I have a filament runout sensor. So I'm going to be installing those this weekend, and we're going to be putting the GMAX back into main rotation. But I still like this printer. I don't want to put it away. You know, I mean, I've had fun on it. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, I printed out stuff on here because of the smaller nozzle, because I have a 0.5 on the GMAX, and this one's got a 0.4, that I was unable to print successfully on the GMAX. It's not that the printer failed. It's just that the tolerances of the things I was trying to print were a little bit out of range for that big nozzle. But having a tiny little nozzle and a heated bed, I felt like I could print. And I actually went back into the 365 library of stuff that failed during that project and reprinted them. And one of them was that flexible little figure, the Green Lantern ring. I mean, there's a couple of them in there, but I'm not having any problems, so I have no complaints. I think they made a pretty decent printer.
Yeah, you know, this compared to my very first printer, which was the aluminum Prusa i3, I have a hard time calling it a Prusa i3 because it's not a Prusa, because back at that time, Prusa didn't make his own printers.
Right.
So that's the reason why it was just, you know, that was the style printer. Now it's hard for me to say that because he's got his own printers. But I paid $330 for the thing on eBay. And it turned out it was directly from G-Tech. And they sent it to me, and it this printer, and it's just night and day. And for what? Not even $100 more? And it's just a huge improvement and way bigger build volume.
It is. It's got I mean, 320 by 320 by 420 is nothing to shake a stick at for that price range with a nice heated bed. 420. I was going to giggle in my video, but I thought it would be inappropriate.
I did, though.
You know me, I hardly ever cross the line.
I know, you're just like straight, and I'm like...
Well, as we've mentioned before, if I show you guys my outtakes, you might not get a different opinion. No, anyway, for the price range and what we're getting, I mean, that filament runout sensor works great. I did have an issue with the power outage. I did exactly what you said. I just pulled the plug on it, and the extruder stayed right where it was.
Yeah.
So it didn't raise. Now, I didn't try it. I was going to try it live, but I kind of want to focus on this for tonight. I record everything I do, so if I do try it again, I'll definitely put it up on social media, or I'll put an addendum video up on the A30 of like maybe 1,000-hour experience. I was thinking about doing that too, because I only got about 100 hours in on it. But what's it going to be like at 1,000 hours? Am I still going to love the printer? So I thought maybe after 1,000 hours of print time, and I'm keeping track of it on a spreadsheet, I'll do another video and say, well, here we are 1,000 hours later, and blah blah blah. Yeah. I mean, I love it. I mean,
how long does it take to reach ABS temperatures?
For the bed to heat up, it's about 2-3 minutes, right?
What's that?
Eddie's asking, how long does it take for the bed to heat up to ABS temp? I'm thinking what is about 2-3 minutes to get it up to like 70 degrees.
So one way to find out. Hang on.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can always just turn mine on.
I'm going to plug it in real quick. I'm going to turn it on and find out.
Nope.
How's he want it? 90 degrees?
Yeah, what's ABS? 80 or 90?
Let's take it up to 90.
Yeah, do up. Colin Makes Stuff says 100.
100? Okay.
That's the max on the bed. Don't go up that high, Jimmy. Only go to 90.
I say go big or go home.
Or melt the diode on the bottom of it that controls the LED light.
Okay, so I got it turned on. It's heating up right now, so we'll kind of keep an eye on it, and when it reaches temperature, we'll know.
Yeah. All right, we'll start the clock. It's 8:26 p.m. Pacific Central Time here, or whatever you want to call it, and let's see how long that takes.
This is the first time my fan has been this loud, but I got a loud fan going on over here all of a sudden.
If you move it too much, that fan goes up a little louder. I noticed mine increased. I have mine on now, and it's not as loud, but I haven't touched the control box in probably 3 days.
Yeah. So mine right now is at 37 degrees Celsius and climbing.
Yeah, it goes up pretty quick.
Yeah.
I usually
for that size bed, it actually does heat up really quick.
It does, and it stays pretty much spot on that temperature the whole print too. I watched it through a 3-hour print, and I had it set at 50, and I don't think it ever dropped to 49 once.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a decent printer. What can you say?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, like I said, compared to my very first printer, this is just night and day. I get a kick out of. There's something about this. There's something about this style printer that I really enjoy just sitting and watching. I mean, I love the style where the bed drops because on camera it looks so much better. But for just sitting here watching something, there's something about that bed going back and forth. Just you can just spend an hour or two just like staring at it.
So now you know how I felt during the entire 365 project printing 19-hour vases.
And if there was a 420 in there somewhere, it'd be even more. No.
All right, what's the temperature up at? We've been 2 minutes.
Let's see. Come on. Let me get over here where I can look at it. It's at 57 degrees.
Okay. So about 2.5 minutes.
If I was going to run PLA right now, I would be, because I usually print at 60. So I'd be pretty much ready to start printing right now.
Yeah, me too. I've been running at 50, and I did 60 for the PET G that I ran through there. And I ran that through at 240, and then I dropped it down to 235 for the Green Lantern ring. Still solid as a rock. No problems with bed adhesion or even layer adhesion. So I'm pretty confident, and it actually turned out really good. So I know Chris said be leery of that 240-degree mark with the PTFE tube or whatever. It's because it's down inside the hot end. So I'm staying at 235 is kind of like my max temperature that I'm even do. I have some filaments that I want to try, but I'm going to hold off until the G-Max is back in play.
Yeah. That's one thing. It would be an interesting deal is to actually put an E3D hot end on this, one that's all metal, so that you can actually run it up as high as you want.
That would be good. I mean, the one thing I don't want to do with this style of printer, and I know that's kind of like against the grain of what everybody else does, is put the same amount of money in as that I spent on it.
Right.
So if I'm going to put anything in it, it's got to be like $100 investment at max, because a quarter of the price to me is more than enough to spend on upgrades. And if I can't get those upgrades, then I don't need them because the printer's working. So it's not like I need those upgrades. Like the bed level sensor would be nice, but I don't really need it.
I know, I'm the same boat. It's like I would love to have one, but at the same time, I don't need it.
I don't really need it. I mean, I was spoiled with the G-Max, and the first time I had to level the bed, I was like, God, this is annoying. But as soon as it leveled, I didn't have to do it again. So
looks like I'm at 70 right now.
All right, well, we've been at 6 minutes now that's not too bad.
For that size build plate, that's actually not too bad.
Now, Eddie is saying that those cap tubes are good for nylon temps. Again, that would fall under that $100 maximum investment I'm willing to put into the printer to upgrade it. Would be one of those cap tubes. I understand those are supposed to be the best. I mean, as soon as they came out, everybody bought them, so they must have been good. I don't jump. I'm like Apple. I wait till the trend is over and then I go and buy it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be the first one. I don't want to be the last one. I just want to have it. It doesn't matter to me if I'm first or last. This was a nice, I mean, thank you very much. I can't thank you enough. This was cool. I mean, the printer's brand new. We're some of the very few that have actually put out any kind of content around it. I know the broken nerd, Daryl, he had one, but he made one post on Twitter and then that was it. I never saw it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he said he got one. You can look back, scroll through his Twitter feed. He got one and everybody was like, hey, you got one of those new A30s, but I never saw hide or hair of it after that. He got another printer and focused on that one instead. So
I like to, when it comes to reviews, I like to take and just crank out prints with the same printer so people can see what it can do. I mean, I love doing a review video, but I like kind of the rolling review concept where you just share what you're printing with it.
Exactly.
Let everybody, just like what you did with the 365 project. I mean, that was a testament to the Gmax printer that the thing printed for 365 days straight.
Yeah. Basically, when Gordon and Anna and Heather and I went out to dinner after the live stream thing, we basically were talking about that it was a 365-day review.
Right.
I mean, at the end of it, it was still kicking butt and didn't stop. I mean, I loaded it right up after you guys all left and started printing that night.
Okay, we're 83 degrees.
83, almost about 8 minutes. Yeah, so that's fast. I'm seeing
so pretty much a minute per 10 degrees.
Yeah, Uncle Ron says his CR10 takes 20 minutes to get to 70. So S4 takes about an hour to reach 70, says Robbie.
Did Chris ever say whether this is a 24 volt or a 12 volt?
I don't know. I don't remember. I'd have to scroll
Just
through the
pause.
Twitter.
I want to check it real quick. 85.
It looks like a couple people are still coming in the room. We got 21 people watching.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, the handy outdoor nerd. Yep, that's me. That's not Calvin. Unless Calvin got a really drastic haircut.
I honestly didn't know who was going to make it tonight. So that I might as well say who the other person was. He's out to a birthday party right now. That's Carmelo.
Oh, Carmelo. I would step aside if he came on.
I'd like to just see him pop on there. I think we just have menage a trois on here, and just. Heather's going to be like, hang up now, Jeff. Hang up. You're coming to bed.
No, she's staying up. But no, Carmelo, he's a riot. I talked to him a couple of times during the 365 project via text message, and he was just, I could not stop laughing. Everything he said to me was hilarious. I mean, he's super funny, and he's got a lot of energy. He's a really cool guy.
Yeah, he is. I've yet to talk to him in person. Even like this, I've never talked to him that way. Yes, Carmelo Nazaro. That's correct. Correct. What is his Twitter handle?
I'd have to look.
Creator something or other.
He changes it every once in a while, doesn't he?
By the way, I better check this. Yeah, it's at 90. It's actually at 92.
All right, there you go. 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
10 minutes flat.
Boy, that is a nice, hot, toasty bed plate right there. I bet I could put a cup of coffee on there and keep it nice and hot.
Or you can slow roast a piece of pork on there all day.
I think so, too. How much is that in Fahrenheit?
I was just going to Google that myself. What is it, 90 degrees C?
90 degrees C. I'm going to guess about 200 degrees.
194 Fahrenheit. If you could get it up to 95, that would be enough to slow roast a piece of pork all day on that sucker. Just wrap it in foil and set it on it.
You just gave me an idea for a video. Slow
Yeah,
roast
see,
the
Rover
pork
says Rover says 100 is 212 degrees Fahrenheit. That is enough to cook meat over a very long period of time. I'd say about 8 hours, maybe. You should be able to make a nice carnitas from that.
That would be a good idea.
Yeah. The
That'd be a good way
$429
of making
3D print.
tacos. We'll just take I think we can even do that with beef, couldn't we?
Oh yeah, beef would take the
It's
heat much.
done at 140 or 150.
150. To be medium, right?
Yeah, and then pork is what, 160?
Yeah, 160, 165.
So actually, a person could take carne asada,
Yes.
a couple hours. I think you'd have tacos.
Hey, as long as you sealed it up in a nice foil thing and didn't let it leak anywhere, it's not going to hurt the printer. It'll be a good way to test the see.
As
Yeah.
long as we got rubbing alcohol, we're all good.
Alcohol makes everything better. Ah. So what else are we
Let's
talking
take it
about
off. Thank
tonight?
you for joining.
Who's in here tonight? Colin likes to make stuff. Colin makes stuff.
Got Mitch 3D in the house as well.
A lot of chatting going on while we're talking.
I know. One thing I do miss about streaming later is I don't get Daniel Norrie in here no more.
Oh, yes, but he is directly behind you, staring at us.
I know.
Up on that top shelf there.
Up there too, and then down there.
There you go. And I think he's behind me somewhere. He's up there somewhere. He's always in the room.
Daniel's everywhere. You got all those benchies on the wall too.
I think I have parts underneath my desk for the open RCF1 car too, so he's always in the room.
Daniel Norrie is probably one of the how do you want to say it? He's appreciated, but at the same time I don't think a lot of people realize the models that he's created.
I think that's a big thing. Everybody looks at the open RC, and most people know he had a hand in the Benchy. That wrench that he printed is pretty much the most popular 3D printed item that on Thingiverse. I think it's one of the top 5, if I'm not mistaken. I've seen it on the news. I mean, that thing is everywhere. So, but I think a lot of people just attribute the Open RCF1 project to him because that's the one that of recently has gotten a bigger spotlight than the other stuff. Because there's a few other things that are claiming to be Benchy style model. They're using the Benchy name, but they're a different kind of boat on Thingiverse. So I think that's, people are thinking that maybe he designed that and it's like just somebody calling it a Benchy.
Well, see, a lot of it is too that whenever he designed it, it was designed for a CTC instead of having his name on it. But he was the designer of the original.
Exactly, and I think that's the other thing with who's the other guy that's with him?
Anton.
Anton, another person involved. He still works for them, doesn't he? Or is he?
I believe they both. Actually, I think Anton left, and I believe moved to another country, if I remember right.
Yeah, because he just unboxed a Moai the other day.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. Yeah, he's got a Moai in his hands now, so that should be fun.
I'm sad because I haven't been on YouTube like I used to. Or I used to watch videos every single day, and I've been kind of slacking the last week or so.
Well, you've been busy. I mean, you said you've been working 10-hour days, 10 straight days in a row. I mean, come on, man, that's a lot of work. I mean,
between 10 and 12 hours a day is what I've been working. Then 10 days straight. Tomorrow's gonna be number 11.
Yikes.
I'm taking Thursday off though.
Oh, hey, Thursday off, and then you got to go back at it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's worth it though. In the end, you're going to see the hard work and everything else will pay off in dividends at the end as you start to adapt even more to the job. You'll start to cut your hours back because you won't have to need to be there as much, and then you can focus more on the other stuff that you like to do. I mean, that's a natural progression when you get a new job. The same thing happened to me when I changed jobs from where I was to where I am now. it just happened around the same time that I was getting ready to do the 365 project, so it actually worked out for the better. So, I mean, there was a lot of things that played into that too. So there was a moment there where it wasn't going to happen. You know, I almost didn't take the job because I wanted the freedom, but, you know, still putting in the hours and still working. Like, a lot of my creativity has been focused at what I'm doing at work instead of putting it into the stuff that's behind me. So, I mean, I'm getting filament. I've got 4 new boxes of filament from Kodak. I've got a brand new roll of regrind, completely 100% recycled filament from Philibot to start my special project, and a closet full of stuff that I just don't feel motivated when I get home because I've already put all my creative energy into what I do for the television station. So
Yeah.
it's
I was asking our thoughts about the printer from E3D. This goes to show how far out of the loop I am. I didn't know E3D made a printer.
well, they're making that tool changing apparatus, and I think that might be what he's talking about.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did hear about that one. I don't know.
I mean, I like the idea. I watched the stream that Chris was managing when he was up there at the West Rep Festival, and they announced it and they were showing it off. And I watched everybody's footage on it. It looks cool, and I can see engineers all over the world watching that same video going, this will be on our next printer in a year from now. We're just going to steal it because it's a cool idea. So, I mean, yeah, I like the idea, and I think that would be cool if they make kits that are good for certain styles of printers, because I don't think that would work on every printer. It wouldn't work on my G-Max, that's for sure, because it's designed for a Core XY, excuse me, and I think that's kind of where they want it to stay. I don't see, at least I didn't see the display, but I didn't see a Prusa style or a G-Max style or a, you know, whatever you want to call these printers being used with that same tool changing. What I did see was at Bay Area Maker Faire, which you were there, was Prusa's cool new filament changing dealy thing that he's got that changes, and you can exponentially expand that to have like 12 colors at the top of your extruder, and I could see something like that being tooled onto the G-Max.
Oh yeah.
Where I could print 5 colors of actual material, 3 materials that are water soluble. One could be a UV, the other one could be conductive. You know, there's so many options with something like that, but I think the E3D thing is cool, and I think what they're doing is cool. So more power to them.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, thumbs up.
Hey, Chris from Practical Printing. Hey, Jimmy, the best thing about having to deal with all those tires, it helps. It's helping to get rid of your own spare. Yeah.
I can imagine tossing tires all day. You're probably having to double down on all your lunches too.
Actually, the last few days I haven't got a lunch. Today I got a lunch, but it's probably been 3 or 4 days before I was. In the past, I haven't been getting lunch.
Well, that's not good. You got to eat.
Yeah.
You know, I can't stress that enough, because I'm the same way. If I didn't physically stop and eat during the day, I would work all day in front of the computer and then be like, oh my God, I didn't eat my lunch today.
That's one of my workers. I'll say his name, Gil. He's one of the nicest guys you ever meet. Hey, boss, go get lunch. Okay, Gil. He is one cool guy.
Well, he doesn't want to see you sputter out of energy too. I mean, even if you don't have diabetes, there's such a thing as low blood sugar.
Yeah.
You know, and it affects people every single day. And downing a 5-hour energy is a good solution if you want to do that, but you're better off eating if you have the time.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just low blood sugar makes you irrational, makes you not think straight, kind of like you do things a little bit differently, you kind of approach things differently. I feel it. I know other people who've experienced low blood sugar, and they're not diabetic. It's just you have to stop and eat. And I know that's a crazy non-3D printing thing, But some of us who sit in front of our printers all day, all night, remember to take a bag of snacks out there with you guys, because seriously, I mean, even if you are 50 pounds overweight, you still could lose blood sugar. You could, make yourself sick, drop your health defenses.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Trust me, during the 365 project, I had to fend off a couple of colds and fevers and had oral surgery at one point too. So I know what it's like to ignore things.
Well, but Jimmy giggled, Jimmy, Oh my goodness.
What else we got people talking about here?
I keep seeing a comment saying, what's the subject for tonight? There actually is no subject for tonight.
Well, as we're rounding out the hour here, let's take a suggestion from the audience. Let's see what does somebody want to know from both of us. Yeah.
I want to know why you're so awesome.
Well, that would be they're asking you that question, Jimmy, not me.
My answer is I'm not.
So are you thinking you're going to wait a little while before you kind of publish a full-on A30 review?
I want to do some more printing with it. I'm not going to lie. I kind of went like over a week without printing. So I need to start getting more prints out on it before I feel comfortable actually coming out and doing a full-fledged review. One thing I do have to say, and I might as well say it here, I fried my filament sensor.
Did you?
You remember that copper coin I did for Calvin?
Yes.
Problem with copper is it's very abrasive. Now, I don't even know what it done to my nozzle. I imagine it's probably wore out pretty good. But it ground my filament sensor to the point where it no longer detects filament because it kind of wore its way into the roof of that plastic.
Oh, no.
I haven't said anything to G-Tech because it's as long as I got enough filament on there, I know I'm fine.
Yeah. Well, that's the same thing that happened with I bought the Matter Hackers Pro Series glow-in-the-dark green, and I was printing a bunch of stuff during the 365, and I noticed one day that it was wearing the finish and actually grinding a piece of the metal on the cross member of the G-Max. I mean, it literally, because it's so abrasive, and after a 12-hour print, it literally wore a groove into the metal. So yeah, I can imagine any kind of abrasive filament with a plastic filament runout sensor, it's like you're running a piece of sandpaper through there for 12 hours.
Right.
And eventually you're just going to cut right through it.
Looking back at what I should have done is I should have took 2 pieces of PTF tubing and stuck it in so that was pretty much carrying the gist of it.
That sensor hole is basically the diameter of the filament, though. I noticed that when I took it off that little thing and I was examining it, and I put a couple pieces of filament through just to see how it worked, to kick the sensor before I did my video, just to make sure it worked. Just little behind-the-scenes footage there. It wasn't the first time I tried that. So, and I noticed that it's a really tight fit in there. I think if you tried to wedge anything in there, it would jam it. I think what they need to do is take your suggestion to the next level and put a PTF tube in there with a hole in it, so the little sensor or whatever it is, I think it's probably an LED, and when the LED is blocked, it says it's good, and when the LED isn't blocked, it says it's no good. So it's a simple little tiny little super easy to build sensor. Just make it bigger and run a tube through it.
Yeah.
I do like that it's on that little bearing though, because when the filament rises up, it's not going to cause any kind of jams or buckle. It turns with the filament, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah, whoever thought that up actually had a pretty good idea with that.
That was pretty brilliant. And the fact that you can loosen the washer and the nut and turn it if you want to move your box back and put it on a different angle, or depending on how you have your setup with your filament spool, you may not use their spool thing. You may use it on the side. Well, you can turn that sucker to the side and do it the same way.
Yeah.
So very cool little sensor, and worth every bit of $2 or whatever it was to build it.
Yeah. Yeah, Eddie's right. I do need to bring it up to him, and I will bring it up to him. It's just that I it was one of the things where whenever I was printing this, it was a pretty good deal, but it was a safety precaution. But it's not something. The nice thing about it is you can turn it off in the software. You can just on the screen just turn it off.
Just turn it off, and you don't even worry about it. I didn't use it for the first 7 or 8 prints. I tried it, worked, ran it through a print, didn't have to worry about it because I had plenty of roll on the roll. And then I just disconnected it and avoided running the filament through because I didn't want to grind it down because I didn't notice that it was really, really tight with the filament rolling through there. But yeah, you can just turn it off in this firmware while you're running the printer.
Yeah.
That's another one of those ones you can turn off during the print.
Yeah,
you don't have to worry about it. I mean, I adjusted, I was able to, I was showing you in that little video I sent you on Twitter that when the printer's running, if you just tap on the bar graph, it brings up those 4 settings.
Yeah.
You can actually adjust, even though with Cura and Simplify 3D, there's tons of modifiers for inner, outer, upper, lower, top, bottom layer. I mean, the printer changes speeds constantly. I don't think it ever hits 50 millimeters per second once. But you can go in there and speed it up a little bit, and that speeds up the overall that it multiplies to, which I thought was kind of cool. When I was doing a base print, I realized that it still had 35 millimeters per second on the outer perimeter using Cura, and I wanted 55. So I just went in there and sped that sucker up. It did not change the print quality whatsoever.
Yeah. I do that a lot when it comes to temperature. I'll take up the temperature or lower the temperature according to what I'm seeing, especially on the first layer. I want to go back up here to Colin Makes Stuff. I kind of skipped over his because we're talking about that sensor. Colin Makes Stuff says, Jimmy, I'm new to your channel. How do you like the G-Tech E180? I'm going to be completely blunt and honest with you. I like the printer. It's just that for the price point, you can get a Monoprice Select Mini version 2 with a heated bed for less than that printer. That's my only issue is because it doesn't have a heated bed to it. The nozzle is a good idea, but at the same time, they have there's an issue when it comes to the latching mechanism to hold the nozzle in place. That's one thing I'm glad that they went back to the MK8 style hot end on the A30, where both the D200 and the E180 use that new modular hot end on it. And it was a great concept, but like I said, the latching mechanism was the one part of it that was kind of a fail on it. But I think that there's a way they can adjust it, to make it tighter. I just don't know how at the moment.
But all in all, that's a pretty decent. You've been used that printer a lot too, right? I mean,
yeah, I use it quite a bit. In fact, I ought to just go ahead and do a final review on it.
You were printing on it just a couple of weeks ago, weren't you?
Yeah.
Did you put a video out about it?
Yeah, I've done several.
Yeah,
several. In fact, I moved it over here whenever I put this printer up on the desk.
I know how you feel. I have to move everything off the desk to make room for the new printer because I don't like to show other people's printers while I'm doing the other printer. I found that I felt real self-conscious of having the G-Max in the background. So I was like, I got to get it out of the way.
Right. It's
Rover asked a question in the chat about what my next big project was, and I kind of gave him a quick summary. And just so everybody knows that isn't reading that or wants to hear me say it out loud, basically, and Jimmy knows this too, that what we're doing is we're taking all the prints from the 365 project that we don't want. A good portion of them were basically for the project and for the project alone, and we're going to grind them up into filament, and then we're going to we're grinding them up into small pellet-sized pieces, and we're going to get them up to Philibot over there in Vermont, and they're going to extrude us some 100% recycled filament for another project that we're working on, which we can talk about later. If you know anything about the channel, you already know what that is, but I'm kind of keeping it like not really on the down low, but I'm just not going to keep mentioning it because I want people who really follow the channel, they know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's I'm going to King Random was asking me, I'm outsourcing it. I would love to get a Philobot machine in here, but after talking with Tyler, he's the boss over there, they're actually working on a brand new grinder because their current grinder is like a giant machine that barely fits on a skid. It's just too big and it's not practical. So they're working on a new grinder. So right now they don't have a way to send out a grinder to people who want to buy them. They're currently showing their present one out of stock. And I told him, I says, well, until you perfect the grinder, I don't want the system because I'd love to be able to show everybody. So I opted out of having the other pieces of the puzzle because he offered it. And I said, well, let's wait until your grinder's perfected and then we'll work on it. In the interim, I've got some plastic to send you. So that's happening. We're going to start separating over the next couple of days, weeks, and get that stuff to him, get some filament back. I've got a fresh roll. He sent me one roll, but it had some particulate matter in there, and I guess they had a problem or an issue with the melt filter. So they improved upon their melt filter in their current line, and now I got a brand new roll, and I already took a look at it, and it looks like it came from one of the top-end manufacturers. So to me, we're at stage 2 of this project, which is to start printing this project and start getting it out to the people who need it.
That's cool.
So yeah, that's a paper shredder. We've talked about that. There's also Flowalistic, Augustine's cool little taking a blender. I have an industrial strength mixer from my bartending days that's got a pretty decent blade in there. It cuts me every time I clean it. It would make short work of PLA. I guarantee it. And it's got a metal sleeve instead of glass, so I don't have to worry about pieces possibly shattering it. And the vases we're going to run through a paper shredder. You can just go to the Salvation Army store and pick up junk paper shredders. All you need is the shredder part. I don't need the plastic housing. And I'll just hook up my own power source to it. That's 90% of what the broken things are at the Salvation Army store is the cord's messed up. Yeah, so I have a lot of things going on at the same time of I've got a couple of unfinished projects laying around here. I've got one, Martin, 3DP Iceland, he sent out landscapes or topology, you know what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
to a bunch of YouTubers, and he was asking people, you know, hey, send me stickers and stuff back. And that was probably about 6 months ago, and I pulled the model of Mount Rainier off the internet and followed the steps that Chuck did and a couple other people, and I printed it and I started painting it, and then the 365 project ended and it went underneath my desk and has been gathering dust. So that's, you know, like I said, hard to get motivated some days.
I know what you mean. So Eddie's asking, have I let the smoke out of the 830 yet? No, I haven't. That's only the, what's this other one called? The Zone Star. That's the only one I let any smoke out of.
No, I haven't had any weirdness come out or any weird smells come out of the 830 yet.
No, only one of us had a problem with blueberries.
Yeah, and I think he can speak for himself. He's back in the chat.
Poor Chris. He's gonna be like, I hate you guys.
Now, have you used anything to adhere or any kind of bed surface? Me either. I think Chris was
as long as I'm at 60 degrees or higher, it stays.
Wasn't Chris trying with Magic Goo? Chris, weren't you using Magic Goo? Because I want to try that stuff, but I'm always paranoid it's going to cause problems.
I don't think a person would need to on this. I've yet to have a print fail because of the print service. The only thing is, and this is the catch-22 with the power save mode, or you unplug it and it can recover. Here's the problem with that. Any other printer, that print is stuck there until you come through with a spatula or something and take it off. On this printer, as soon as that bed gets down to about 30 degrees Celsius or less, your print releases from it. So if there's a power failure that lasts more than 2 minutes, chances of recovering that printer slim to none.
That's so very true. I didn't even think of that. Yeah. So if you're not in the room and the power goes out and you come back in and go, oh, I'll just resume the print, it's going to stick to the print head.
Right.
Yeah, because I was trying to print just a little Cali Cat, just a little 40-minute print, and I unplugged it like out of the box, out of the control box, and the print head just sat there. Now, when you flip the toggle, I noticed that the screen takes a few seconds before it shuts off.
Right.
When you did you've tested the power outage, right?
Yeah.
And does the print head lift?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. So it was just, which way did you do? Did you do the switch or the cord?
I pulled the cord. I believe it was during the live stream, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just pulled the cord just to test it out. And yeah, the print head just stayed. And then when you restart it, then it homes. So it'll actually, I believe it lifted a hair, then moved off, and everything rehomed.
Yeah, see, that would be ideal. And I think that's how the other printers on the market are handling that power outage. Because I know I think it was with the G-Max, I'm trying to remember. I know I had a problem with it, and the print head lifted and moved away. I'll have to figure it out. I'm anxious to get the G-Max back on the desk because the heated bed and the filament runout sensor. Yeah. Can't wait to install those on the best printer I've ever worked on.
Yeah. Oh. So Chris says he tried the Magic Goo as a separator for PETG, not for adhesion.
Oh, okay.
He says Magic Goo is a shizzle. I thought that was the shiznit.
I think it is the shiznit. So Chris updated the firmware, and now the print head lifts after you restore power. But that doesn't help, right?
No, it doesn't help because your print is still going to be stuck to your print head. And so your
the bed's
heated bed is going to take and let the print go. And
yeah. Well, they're getting there.
They'll get there eventually. The thing is that's going to take more than a firmware update. It's going to take some kind of a battery backup to a point where it'll actually take and sense the power outage, and then pause the print, raise the print head. Even if it just raised the print head, that would be a huge step.
Exactly. I know with the G-Max, in the G-Max tools, there's a raised print head 100 millimeters. And it goes, I mean, you hit it and it gets right out of the way. So, yeah. I mean, if you ever had some issue with that printer, there's a couple of tools, and you can double click on the dial and it goes right to your Baby Step Z. And that's something that this printer doesn't have that I think a lot of printers have, is the ability to adjust on the fly your first layer using your control box. Am I right? I mean, Marlin allows it. It's called Baby Step Z, right? It's on all the Marlin firmware out there.
I believe so.
I don't understand why that one didn't have it. So
maybe a person go in there and turn it on.
That might be all it needs.
Yeah. Well, I think we're coming to the end of it. But I got to ask you a question. You touched on a little subject there. You used to be a bartender?
Yes, sir.
Really? There in Vegas?
No, back in Chicago. Actually, it was one of the things that was going to be my fallback should I get to Vegas, because my family had already moved here, and I was planning on coming here. So I went to bartending school in Chicago, worked as a bartender for 1.5 years, almost 2 years, and that would be my fallback if I couldn't find a graphic design job when I got to Vegas. And I got to Vegas and September 11th happened, so it didn't matter what I was doing at that point. So, and then when I got to Vegas, I found out you needed like a sheriff's card and a health card and this kind of card. And I was like, you know what? I'll just be unemployed. So.
So you learned how to throw the stuff in the air and catch it behind your back and all that?
No, they started to teach us flair. At the time, they called that flair bartending. I don't know what I think they call it bartainers, something like that. It's like Harris down on the strip has invented a word for them. But yeah, they showed a little bit of it, but they said that in the movie Cocktail, all those bottles were plastic.
Oh, yeah.
and they weren't glass, and they were filled mostly with water, and some of them even had plastic weights at the bottom of them when they weren't fully full, so you could properly juggle and spin them. And if you tried to spin a full bottle of like gin, you basically, if it landed on you, it would probably knock you out.
Yeah, it would.
So they suggest not doing that stuff unless you're just going for tips. You know, I worked in bars that served beer and scotch.
Drinks of choice, huh?
Yeah, I worked in a sports bar for a little while, and you could give anybody anything after a certain period of time because it's so loud and they're so drunk. They're like, hey, I want a White Russian. You just put a bunch of coffee creamer in there with a splash of something in it, slide it across, take their $10.
Oh my God, this is the best drink ever.
Keep the change, dude. This was awesome. No, I was tempted, and then I went down to the casinos down there in Las Vegas, down on the Strip, and a lot of the bartenders were making okay money. They weren't making as much money as I was making back in Chicago, that's for sure. But the flairtainers, the ones that juggled their stuff, they made 50 grand a year plus tips because they were actually entertainers and bartenders at the same time. So it was a kind of a mixed bag. And I didn't fit in the bikini, so I couldn't do the other job.
Did you try?
Yes.
And of course, now that was the bartender part before or after you worked for my favorite restaurant in the whole world?
After Denny's. Denny's was my first job in I would have to say 82, 83, 1983. Yeah, that was my first real job.
Guess right tonight.
I wondered, maybe Denny's?
Yeah, I did. Now, last night, though, I went to Taco Bell.
we had the Taco Bell last night, but we came home from Valley of Fire and didn't want to do anything but just eat protein and go to sleep. But no, you did join the Denny's Club, right? You do get their little emails and all their little things, right?
Yes, I totally got the 20%.
Okay, good.
Coupon that came out yesterday. That's horrible, isn't it?
Chris said I could get a job at Tutors.
Tutors?
No, Eddie, I didn't work for the mob. I didn't want to make that mistake. I will never take a job working in the casinos because I think I'll work for people who do stuff for casinos, but I'll never do a job in the casinos. I just don't like. You have to understand that that's a 24/7 job. You're basically on beck and call your life if you work in a casino. They switch the shift.
An offer you can't refuse.
Exactly. They'll make you an offer you can't refuse. And you don't want to take any weird rides out into the desert with your boss.
No. Hey, Jeff, it's we need to take a little ride. Please jump in the back of my limo.
Yeah. Hey, can you go pick up that Cadillac from the shop? Here's the keys.
Of course, it wasn't much different in Chicago, was it?
No, not at all. Just look at Chicago's mayoral history compared to Las Vegas's mayoral history. The mayor of both towns, the mayor of Chicago was, I think he was mayor for about 15, 20 years. Nobody ran against him. Vegas, Oscar Goodman, his wife is now mayor. And let's remember, Oscar Goodman played himself in Goodfellas.
Oh, God.
A mob lawyer.
I'll make you an offer you can't refuse. We're playing the movie.
Who do you want to play, Oscar? Myself.
Capiche?
You don't want to go in as somebody else? People are going to know that was you. No. I'm playing myself.
My aunt Nancy says ads for Denny's and Sears.
Yeah, free plug. Okay, Denny's, Sears, if you're watching, I love the Grand Slam breakfast, and my wife needs new tires.
Yes. Oh goodness. They're gonna say, "Wait a minute! You just made fun of Chicago."
Oh no! I'm not making fun of Chicago. We're all good, Chicago. You know, we're good. We're good.
Oh man!
All my secrets are back there.
They're all buried with the bodies.
There's a forest preserve outside of Elk Grove. Don't go there.
Don't go there. Oh, it's like a while back. Is what, a year or two back. I was over in Yosemite, and Beth says, "Hey, I want to get some of that fresh snow so I can make ice cream out." Because what she does, she takes the imitation vanilla, pours it over it, puts sugar with it, and it makes like ice cream, like vanilla ice cream. So I was out there getting it. So somebody, I think Beth took a picture, and I shared it on Twitter. And Greg the Great says, "There, Jimmy is burying another body."
Oh my God.
It's like, yeah, that's it. Just go ahead and keep tagging Yosemite. They're all out there with poles.
Got dogs out there. They're checking the GPS data on your images, trying to find out where you were.
Chris says, "Oh no, now you have to flag this as a sponsored video, Jimmy." That's only if they pay me, and so far they haven't paid me.
Oh no, they've paid you, Jimmy.
Not Denny's.
No, Denny's has paid you. And
Oh, that's right. They gave me a 20% discount, didn't they?
Yeah, your 20% discount's right here, buddy. Right here.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No, don't even get me started on sponsored videos. Oh my. That needs to be a topic. That's something you and Calvin can talk about, and I'll jump in on. But I still spend my lunch hour, or at least I try to, at least putting an hour in watching everybody's videos, watching new content that pops up as recommended so I can learn, new stuff and check out new channels and stuff. And I watch a lot of videos that say, "We're sponsored by X company," and I don't see the sponsor ad, and I hit refresh a couple dozen times and I'm not seeing that little sponsor moniker. And you don't want to say anything because these are, fellow creators, but there is a little button y'all need to be pushing if you're sponsored.
Yeah. And if you're sponsored, you're supposed to say that you're sponsored. That way it changes the ad revenue, however.
It does. And if you are going to be sponsored because you are making an additional ad revenue from another source, then really you shouldn't be making any money off the ads coming off of the video. I don't think that's fair. But that's just my opinion. I've been sponsored. I was sponsored for the 365 project. I've been sponsored for other projects. I'd be more than happy to hit that button. But right now, I'm not sponsored by anybody. There's nobody, well, technically not right at this moment. There's nobody sponsoring any of the projects I'm working on, but they're not doing it, so I don't have to hit that button. But when I watch my favorite creators and I'm seeing a full-on 2 minutes of their video is basically an ad.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. Let's follow the rules.
I do have to say that today's video has been brought to you by Eddie Moser. Thank you very much, Eddie, for the $5.
Yes. So now when you repost the stream, make sure you hit that sponsored button and make sure you acknowledge Eddie in the credits. Thanks, Eddie, for the tip. Just the tip.
Just the tip. We all know the rest of that.
Yes, we do.
Oh, goodness.
Well, this brings up a good point. If that was the case, CBS shouldn't make any money from advertisers since they have to pay them to get on cable anyway, right? And I agree. I do agree. I think that I work for broadcast television. I work for a conglomerate that owns stations that broadcast all the networks. including Spanish-speaking and other foreign language stations. So it's not just CBS. But I think that the television networks have turned into, and I work for one, they've turned into commercial advertising. It's not, Roseanne just got her ass canned.
Okay.
Roseanne.
On that subject, does anybody remember back when she was on the air originally?
Yes.
And it's like, this came as no surprise to me whatsoever.
When they put her on the air, everybody gasped because they didn't know what she would say on social media, because she's very outspoken and she's a comedian, and there's a line that as you get older gets blurred between common sense and funny.
Yeah.
And we all know it. I do it sometimes. What I think is common sense isn't so funny. But their reaction, their knee-jerk reaction, sets a precedent. And I think that's scary, because if you look at the sexual harassment case where it started all the way back with the presidency, now we have Morgan Freeman, the beloved Morgan Freeman. Come on. It's just, now we have this new thing where if you say something and you work for a network and you say it on social media and the public opinion doesn't agree, there's a good chance you could lose your job now. So,
but there was a little twist of what she said that was like, okay. Because the thing is, ABC is owned by what? Disney?
NBC, no.
ABC.
ABC's parent company is Disney, yes.
Yeah, because her deal was on ABC. Yes. And so they were like, oh, Ixnay on that. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. It's ABC is the host of that particular Roseanne in this market, but it's a syndicated show. So there's a good chance that was being run on CBS, Fox, the WB, other stations at the same time, because it's a syndicated program. It's been syndicated from original broadcast, which means that you can sell it to whoever you want at this point. And it happened to be that ABC picked it up in the United States market, as far as we know. But there could be other markets, like in South Florida, that it was on CBS that night. You know what I mean? So, ABC made a very bold move by firing her, but they also set a precedent, and I don't know if they realize what they did.
I don't think for the knee-jerk reaction, as fast as it happened, I don't think they really realize what they've done yet. They will.
No, they will. They will. When it starts happening on other networks. When someone says, oh, okay, so Roseanne said this today. This particular star on this network said this 6 months ago. Why haven't you fired him yet? And
right.
He could be a beloved person. So, you've opened the door, just like we opened the door with the sexual harassment stuff, for basically, the Morgan Freeman stuff. I'm going to snicker underneath my breath if it was 25 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I know it's improper and it's bad, but if it was 25 years ago, are you just cashing in? Because why didn't you say something 20, 15, 10, 5 years ago? It's the real world. You can say things. You don't have to hide.
I do have to say, though, I'm still shocked over Matt Lauer. That guy really hit it.
Yeah. But you look at the social media and how it affects everybody. Roseanne's second tweet after that was, I'm sorry, I'm leaving Twitter. But then she came back and apologized like 3 more times and is still active on Twitter.
Yeah.
So, could it been like maybe there was a contract dispute and we don't know about it? Could there have been a personal issue between her and that woman that she didn't want to talk about it, and we will never know? But I think when people like our commander-in-chief and Roseanne and other people have a way to express how they feel instantly to a lot of people without thinking, is about as dangerous as playing Russian roulette.
Yeah. That's exactly right. There's there's a certain buffer that needs to be between, or just like when a day-to-day conversation. You know, when you are with people, you got to be a certain way, especially when you're around other people. I mean, there's some of your friends that are really close to you. You know, you can say things to them that you know you can't say to your boss.
Exactly.
And it's the same way on Twitter. It's like you can have your opinions, you and all that, but there's certain things you don't say.
So I wonder what it's like. I believe that this is a relative of yours, Nancy. I wonder what it's like in the South right now, where people call everybody darling and sweetheart and honey. Has it turned into like this really non-friendly environment where people are like, "Hey, Frank?
Hey, sweetie.
Yeah.
What would you like with your pancakes?"
Yeah. I mean, could you turn around and say, "Hey, that waitress at Denny's was
Whoa. That was beyond the line. Nobody calls me sweetie.
The more courteous you are to people, the more risk you run getting in trouble for being nice.
That's like they say, no good deed goes unpunished.
Apparently, that is the future or the present we live in.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much like the Truman Show, except without the infectious giggle. I think Chris wants you to be basically like the Truman Show. So we'll just have Jimmy 24/7. We'll follow you around with a camera crew. There's an open spot on ABC's time slot. We can put 30 minutes of...
Yeah, it just opened up.
Yeah, 30-minute time slot just opened up over on ABC. You barely ever swear. So, I mean, this could be a really good... You know what? I'm getting on Twitter right now, and I'm going to put you to ABC. You got to watch 3 Jimmy Shaw's Tidbits videos and tell me you don't want to build a half-hour reality show around this guy.
That's just so wrong. We could have the unedited version as well.
We could. You could do like they do with Big Brother, and then when they go off the air, people can go to another station or go online and watch the live stream 24/7 and see what you're doing.
I can come back there to Vegas. We can drive around, and you can show me the Trump building over there.
Yeah, we could go look at the Trump building and where it's strategically located.
Yeah, and what it's known for around its official name.
I believe they call that zone the mature zone. Was kind of funny though when I showed you that, wasn't it?
Oh my goodness, I laughed the whole night after you said that.
Hey,
there's Trump's.
It's a huge piece of property, and there's enough room.
It's huge.
It's huge. It's huge. Huge.
Like my hands.
Mm.
Oh goodness.
I can't see a censored version of the Jimmy Show containing a single bleep. I believe that's right. There wouldn't. See, that's the thing. Standards and practices wouldn't have to be on your case about anything. Just maybe once in a while the jokes, but nothing. No swear words.
Well, my friend, we've been going at it now for what? Nearly an hour and a half?
Oh yeah, almost 90 minutes here.
I guess we better call it. I was hoping that Carmelo would come in here and bless us with his presence. But then again, I think yesterday was his birthday and he was going out for his birthday party tonight. So happy birthday to you, my friend.
Yeah, happy birthday, Carmelo. Enjoy yourself. Make sure you come home safely. Hopefully you get that text from Jimmy and click on it and be like, "Oh, I missed the stream."
And in the words of, remember that Dave Chappelle show that what was the name of that skit? Oh goodness, what was that singer's name?
Rick James?
Yes, Rick James. Enjoy yourself.
Enjoy yourself.
Enjoy yourself. My name's Rick James. That's one of my favorite ones.
Cracking me up.
Between
Well,
that
I
and Wayne
appreciate
Brady.
you inviting me onto the stream, my friend. It's always good to sit and chat with you. Since we don't live down the street from you, I know my wife Heather, as you know, we've talked about this many times, that we would spend probably all of our extra time hanging out with you and Beth. So it's cool. I appreciate you inviting me.
Oh, I appreciate it, and thank you so much for letting us come over there back at the end of the year last year.
You don't have to thank me for that. You and Calvin and Beth were crazy enough to drive down here, so you know.
Did you honestly think we were coming?
At first, I didn't think anybody was coming, and then I got a little hint from Calvin when he asked Heather for something, and then I was like, "Oh yeah, they're coming down here. They're coming down here." And
That
then
was one of the craziest, but one of the most fun things I'd ever done.
it was, and you know what? That whole like 48 hours from the time you guys got here until the time you guys left was probably the most fun I had during that whole 365 project. Besides meeting Gordon and Anna, which was, I mean, they flew out. They did the same thing you did. They flew out here just to be on the channel, just for the support the project. They made the printer. They brought their knowledge, their technology with them. You know what I mean? Like that. I mean, they came here to witness it, and then you guys followed it up a week later, and it was like, I would say the last 10 days of the 365 project made all of it worthwhile. And the topping on that cake, the icing, the chocolate icing on that cake, was you guys showing up, those doors opening up in the parking lot here at my apartment complex, and you guys basically just falling out with garbage and printing and Calvin. And it was crazy. It was crazy.
We opened up the door and Calvin's hair all came out.
Yep. It's like when you go to the movie theater and the guy takes his hat off and poof. Wait.
My friend, let's go ahead and call it.
We got print. Chris wants to know, all that money for Calvin's haircut obviously went to waste. How much to shave Jeff's head? I'd do it for free, but my wife Heather doesn't want me to shave my head. And neither does my daughter Lily. So but it looks like, I think there's already money going into this. Eddie says 20. Oh, jeez. We should sign off before.
Shave it. He's like, no. He likes his.
The coif. The Jimmy Neutron. You know, when I'm walking down the stairs, it keeps me much more aerodynamic and I don't fall as much.
This keeps you nice and straight.
Yep. Because I'm 6'4", I wobble. So.
Guys, thank you so much for joining. Jeff, thank you for joining. Please tell Heather I said hi.
I will, definitely. And thank you for inviting me on the show. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out, especially keeping the chat going with completely different topics than what we were talking about. It was a fun hour and a half, and I'd definitely do it again. You know I'm always up for this.
Sure do. Thank you so much. You take care, and I'll catch you guys next week, hopefully over on Calvin's channel.
Good night, guys.